Now, if you've played video games before, then you've probably ran into a puzzle before. Puzzles are really awesome because they're a great way to break up normal gameplay. And today we're going to be adding puzzle dungeons into my Metroidvania game, Lunal Lane. Before I start this video, I want to say that Lunal Lane has a brand new Patreon. It's been in the works for a little bit, and I just recently launched it. And if you're a patron, you get to see these Lunal Lane devlogs early. You also get stuff like test builds, behind the scenes videos, free copies of the game, and some of these tiers even come with limited time offers like being able to create your own enemy. If you want to be able to do that, you're going to have to get in fast. So currently in Lunal Lane, the gameplay consists of defeating enemies, exploring, and collecting gems. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted there to be a way for you to get progressively stronger as you go throughout the story, and I wanted permanent upgrades to your character. I also wanted an excuse to show off the Gemlin ruins that we've talked about in previous devlogs. In the lore of the game, the Gemlins are training Noble to become powerful, so I thought that it would be fitting that the Gemlins have challenges laid out for Noble, and if he chooses to complete them, he'll get stronger. So the next step was to get to work. I started by creating a launcher object that's going to shoot a projectile. If you're not that into game development, basically I just added a photo to it and made it so things can collide with it and interact with it in the game. Now I can interact with this object, I can jump on it, throw a boomerang at it, and it all works great. However, the friction is a little bit weird, and also Noble's getting stuck on the side of it, so we're gonna have to fix that up. Where is it? Oh, I forgot to press one thing. Bruh. Alright, let's test this. And I can't move. Okay, it's the right material now, I promise. Hey, what a process for something so simple. After that, I added a script that lets an object shoot projectiles that I've made. We are going to have to go into the script and edit it and make new things for this object though. And immediately we have a crash. And another one. Turns out I forgot to put the projectile it's gonna shoot actually on the script, so now it should work. Oh no, what did I make? What did I make? So in light of accidentally making whatever this is, I got back to working on it. I messed around a little bit with the script, and now I created a minigun. Cool. If I ever need to make a minigun in the future, I know a very easy way to do it. And it consists of doing what you're trying to do wrong. Obviously this was wrong, so I had to get back to fix it. Now it shoots at a really nice interval, and I'm pretty happy with it. Next I created a new object that will be the projectile that the launcher we just created will shoot. Tinkered around with some settings, and I added an image for what the projectile will look like, and it's a man. Last time we had boomerang woman, so this time we're gonna have projectile man. I hop back into the game to test out a new projectile, and it's slow. Very, very slow. So I tinkered around with some settings, and now it feels really nice. However, it can hurt Noble, and that's not what we want at all. So hop back over to Visual Studio to try to fix this. And the projectile was just getting destroyed the second that it spawned, so I had to go back to work on it more. Now it works, so the projectile just goes straight through Noble. Next I added a new object. What this is going to do is it's going to redirect the projectile depending on what direction it's facing. So I made a new script for it and got to work in Visual Studio. Back in Unity, I tested to see if it would work, and it doesn't, so I went back to scripting. And an error, and now it just kind of twitches and disappears. And finally, now when it shoots a projectile, it actually bounces back and goes the other direction. So what we have to do next is make a bunch of other directions for it to be fired in. I tried making it shoot up, but it just kind of, he'd be standing. However, the right and down directions both work perfectly. So I hop back over to Visual Studio to try to fix this bug with him just standing there. And essentially I made him levitate, which is pretty much what we wanted. I messed around with a little more code, and now the launcher is properly shooting him upwards. The next order of business was to create an end goal for this projectile. And I actually have something taken from the beginning ruins in the start of the game, where basically you hit this thing with your boomerang and it opens up a door, but instead of your boomerang, it's going to be the projectile hitting it that'll open a door. I placed all the objects, set them up, and nothing happened when the projectile hit it, but when the boomerang hits it, the game crashes. So of course I had to go back into Visual Studio to fix this. Now the key to open the door just kind of disappears randomly, and that's definitely not what we want. Now it's all set up and it works and it looks awesome. Next I changed the layout a bit so I can test the projectile being redirected multiple times. I got it all working, and there's something super satisfying about watching it chain through all of them and open the door at the end. I really like it. I wanted to show off all of this work to the people in my Discord, so it was time to make this look a little bit prettier. Now the room layout is a little bit prettier and it's a little bit more presentable. Next we came on to the absolute hardest part for me, which was actually drawing up the sprites for the things like the launcher. I have really cool ideas for the ruins and I want everything to look a specific way, so it actually took me a few days to actually get a design that I really liked. And for this design I actually was inspired by an older game of mine called Lunal Maker. It was actually featured off on the first devlog I ever made, so I'll show a little bit of it here. In that game there was a block called the frog block and it would shoot out this green spit, and whenever it hit these triangle blocks, it would get deflected and go into another direction. So that's kind of how I got the idea for this puzzle in the first place. For me, I'm not as confident in my art style, so the art is really the hardest part for me. Other than designing the concepts and the ideas themselves, art is definitely the hardest part for me. But I eventually started getting to an idea that I really liked and I started to work on it. When I was finished, I had 3 different faces. The normal face, which he's kind of like, he's asleep, and then he kind of wakes up a little bit, and then he's super angry when he shoots out the projectile, and I kind of love it. He's very, very cute. After that, I created the sprite for what I'm now calling the markers, and it actually points in the direction that it's going to launch the projectile. With both of the sprites done, I got back into Unity to start making things look a little more pretty. I got some basic animations done and it looks pretty okay. I think we have a really good start. At this point, I got a little bit ahead of myself and realized that there's actually no way for you to be able to turn the markers, so I got to work on that immediately. I added a new object and also added a new script to it. Over in Visual Studio, I got to work making the direction changeable. Now you can press a button and the markers will face the direction that the projectile will be launched in. I think it's really awesome. Next I got to work making everything look pretty once again. Now there's animations, lights, and other effects, and I think overall it looks really, really cool. The next step was to make the projectile not an afer, so I made a sprite for it and added effects like a trail to it, and the finished product looks pretty dang awesome. After that, I worked on making the location you step on to change the directions look a little bit prettier as well. With all of that done, the look of the dungeon is starting to feel a lot more complete. But there's one last thing we need to do. We still need a reward for completing this dungeon. When thinking of what kind of upgrade I would give in a puzzle dungeon, I thought mana would be a really cool idea, because the whole thinking with your brain and magic people sometimes being nerdy or geeky, I think it works out. So I got to work making the collectible for when you finish the dungeon. The reason why I'm not being as thorough with this part of the video is because I've had these things in plans for months, so a lot of these assets like the Gemlin statue and this mana bottle that you're seeing, I've had these things in storage for a long time, so there's really no process to show you because I hadn't recorded when I made it. But now that you complete the dungeon, you can collect your reward. Collecting a mana potion will give you an extra 5 mana, which is really helpful. Now we can take a look at our completed dungeon, and I think it's amazing. You're able to rotate the things and they shoot off in the different directions. And after you open the door, you can go up to the Gemlin and collect your reward. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit more to it in the actual game, but I still think going through the process with you guys has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We should try to hit 250 likes. I think that'd be really awesome. Welcome to all the new subscribers and people that have left previously and are coming back now. That happens a lot. A lot of people, they're like, yo, I haven't watched your videos in like 4 or 5 months and now I'm back. Hi, welcome back. I'm having a ton of fun with these videos and the channel is getting much bigger and the community is growing, which I'm super duper happy for. But that's all I'm going to say for this video. As always, I'll see you in the next devlog.